Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Dr. Doujinshi, and welcome back to another episode of Hentai Reviews, the only series that complies with each and every one of YouTube's guideline policies, including the new ones where we cannot swear before the first 18 seconds of a video. Make sure to stay 100% clean in everything you do before we start talking about all the new dirty things I'm going to be, all while still staying monetized. I hate you, YouTube. Except for the people that watch my videos. Love you. With all that unpleasantness out of the way, let's go ahead and get into actually why we're here. The review. What are we reviewing today? Episode 2 of Enbo Taboo Charming Mother, a series that was recommended to me a little bit ago, but has since sustained such a long period of time between the last episode review, I've kind of forgotten most of it. So I had to do a little bit of research to start this whole thing up again. So let's get into it. You see, this particular episode and series so far has been done by our friends over at MS Pictures, with a little noticeable tag in the beginning of it by Milky Productions. They're the ones that usually do a lot of the stuff in the beginning, even though it's credited towards MS Pictures. With a total of 15 categories, notable of which are harem, incest, and bondage. Bondage is a little hard on this one because I don't remember too many things going on in this. I mean, if you count the weight of many people that she's with, then it's a little iffy. But running at about 28 minutes and 12 seconds, it's on the longer side, but it's still alongside its brother with the whole thing that's going on. And let's just go ahead and rattle off the main characters while there is the titular Misako, which is the main character, the female in question, who is the mother to begin with. There is a mysterious phone caller who has been showing up most of the last episode and does make a reappearance in this episode as well. Yosuke, which is the husband of her, who kind of gets the sidetrack with the NTR sort of rating that goes along with it. And then Kazuhiko, the son, who plays a little bit of like a secondary relationship force in this that brings a lot of it. But let's go ahead and get into the animation and then leave those characters until we get back to the review, shall we? Once again, pausing the video just for a second just to say subscribe. I make a lot of these videos. I really enjoy making them, and I will be continuing making more of these as the future goes along. Back to the video we go. When it comes to the animation, I honestly don't have much to say for this one. The animation is very solid and continues on with the path that the first one had, while also leaving a little bit here and there to be desired. Nothing really that holds it back, but it does have a strong sense of its own ideology, or whatever, its own identity. That's where I'm going. Now, the animation, I would give a solid 8 out of 10. Now, the animation is quite solid. It's the standard 90s high quality, a little bit darker line art when it comes to each character, and a little bit more movement here and there because less detail, less coloring, but also more vivid characters overall. The only problem I do have is that sometimes there's a little bit of motion blur that happens a lot of times where there's scenes that have a lot of motion overall. And that's probably the biggest detractor, while also not having the smoothest animation, but still having high quality amongst them all. So 8 out of 10, motion blur is probably the thing that you're going to want to turn off on this one. When it comes to the story, it's a little bit of a strong case of sequel that improves on what's there, while also having one singular pitfall that I don't consider it myself, but comments say otherwise. So let's go ahead and get into this. Spoiler warning just ahead of time, so if you don't want to know this and you want to go into it blind, here's your time. Just copy paste the name, go over to the website, you're done. You good? Okay. Story consists of an 8 out of 10, and overall the story itself is large in part the main character getting caught in the end of the first episode and then having to sneak around the husband while they get together behind his back. That all happening while the caller, who has been plaguing her for most of the first episode, is becoming more and more bold, asking a lot more of her, knowing more of her personal life, and sending some rather explosively out there things to her. And then all along revealed, spoiler here, that the phone guy was William Afton. No, I'm kidding. The son was the caller. Now, this, I want to point out, was not popular with the comments. It was either considered a very blatant reveal, or it was a really shitty reveal that a lot of people didn't like. I myself thought it was cool, mostly because I was completely clothed taking notes while doing this, and I wasn't really like caught in anything. I thought it was a good reveal. Then again, I'm not very smart when it comes to plot twists, so pearls before swine, what can you do? I would give it an 8 out of 10 for the solid fact that it had the ability to set up this sort of thing while also making it like a possibility that you wouldn't know. And any story in these sorts of things is good story, even if it is basic. This is not basic, actually a setup with an actual payoff. 8 out of 10, solid. And on to the reason why most of you are here, the plot. Now, the plot in this, pretty damn good, not gonna lie. So let's go ahead and get into that. The plot sits at a total of 8 out of 10. Why? For the reasons we're going to get into. So let me go ahead and explain. You see, scene number 1 starts at 1 minute and 45 seconds and goes all the way to 9 minutes and 45 seconds. That is 8 minutes total. God damn, that's good. With a notable tag differentiation of toys/incest, because that's probably the most prominent thing of it, with the first half being what it is and the second half really coming into the second version. They're kind of even split down the middle. And this usually comes in the form of, well, at least the context for it is a recap between what happened in the first episode and what happens in this one, where the main character is caught by the sun. There's a bit of a gap in between the actual scenes themselves, but the characters are mostly naked, so I continued the rolling for it, so a little bit of cheating. Now, what would I consider this? This is a great start for something that is a long time for 28 minutes, with a sizable chunk of the beginning being something very worth keeping your eyes on. The second scene starts at 11 minutes and 5 seconds and goes all the way to 12 minutes and 10 seconds, much shorter, with the notable tag being a blowjob of the whole thing, with the context of it being secretive between the main character and the sun as they're kind of sneaking around. There's a little bit of a flashback that comes after this that I didn't necessarily count as like the unofficial third one, but I just want to felt like I mentioned it here just in case anybody is here. So in between the 12 minutes and 10 seconds and the start of the third one, just to let you know. The third one takes place at 13 minutes and 45 seconds. It goes all the way to 18 minutes and 5 seconds, with the notable tag of this one being NTR, specifically for the reason that it feels like it's compromising itself solely on the interaction between the main character and the sun, as that's really what it is, with another gap in this one as well. So it feels like it's more conjoined, but it doesn't feel like it really separates it to a point. So gap, mind the gap when you come here. And finally, on to the fourth and probably most notable of the entire episode, going from 20 minutes and 40 seconds all the way to 26 minutes on the dot, give or take 5 seconds. It was a little iffy on this one because the main characters were naked and I didn't want to count it at a certain point. The notable tag for this one is the gang bang. There's so much of this one going on. Now, context for this one. The phone guy, who has been emboldened throughout the entirety of the first and second episode, decides to send her something a little bit more risque. The first thing he sent were some orders. The second thing was a vibrating friend. The third one is a group of 5 virgins who were told that they were going to lose that ability at this particular place. In which case, she goes along under the threat of blackmail, but notable thing here, she's very hesitant in the beginning, but the second she's in, she gives it her all. I don't know if she's really scared for the blackmail or she's really into it, because she's really into most of the time she's in these scenarios. So I just wanted to point that one out. Now, one of the virgins is weird because he has a mom fetish. I don't know where that came in because apparently that's there, but I also felt like mentioning that as well. That's probably the sum of everything. And it's probably the best and most notable scene of all the ones that are here. What would I give it? As I've stated before, 8 out of 10. But why? For the length, quality, and overall usage of all 4 of these. 5 of them technically counting the flashback one, but that's 8 out of 10 for the sheer volume and the usage of tags that are both a little bit out there without hitting the fetish notion too hard. Not vanilla, not the weird flavors, but just somewhere in the middle. This is like Rocky Road. It's right there and it's really good, but it's not a classic that holds a 10. So really good, 8 out of 10. Closing remarks. And for the overall of this, I would give it a solid 8 out of 10 when it comes to the entirety of the episode. I would consider this a solid sequel, and I would give much praise to the people who made it. I can only be happy for the 3rd episode when I finally get around to it. Thank you everybody for watching this series, and let's go ahead and get on. Thank you everybody for being here. I am so proud to say I'm the owner of a channel with 340 subscribers as of today, more than I ever thought I'd get. Thank you, each and every one of you. Remember, have a nice day, don't be a dick, and wash your fucking hands. I've been the doctor. Have a good night.